Hello and welcome to Oromia 11 Youth Discussion. On today's youth discussion, we are focusing on mental health and wellness among youth. Joining me is Cecilia, a physiotherapist from Boynton Health Service who will share valuable insight and practical advice on navigating mental health resources. To those who are watching, this conversation is for you. Let's break the stigma surrounding mental health and empower our youth to prioritize their well-being. Thank you, Cecilia, for joining me today. Could you please introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about your role at Boynton Health Service?
Yeah, so my name is Cecilia Blomquist, and I'm a clinical social worker. I am a psychotherapist and an associate director at Boynton Mental Health Clinic. And I had the opportunity to see clients there, and I also supervise some of the providers there, which is a really rich experience.
What do you like about your work? One thing that you enjoy?
I love seeing people changing and the growth that you can see. Like sometimes people come and start seeing us for when they're in a really hard place.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can watch that people just getting better and lighter and back to being themselves. And that's really fulfilling.
It must be, yeah, to see a growth in someone. That is very rewarding too. Could you please provide an overview of the mental health services that is offered at Boynton Health Service specifically for the students?
Yes. So Boynton has a really large package of service, especially for mental health. So we do some service that we call more in the prevention portion of the service. So we have a mental health advocates program where we are teaching staff and faculty members to help identifying students that are struggling with mental health and direct them to connect with professional help when is needed. So that's a kind of one layer that what we have. And then we have service that people can kind of drop in. So or a student counseling center department has this the service that is called Less Talk, and it is spread out throughout campus, so people can kind of drop in and talk with someone if they're having a hard day or dealing with a hard situation. And we have another walk-in service that we have is a service that is for more people that are dealing with more urgent mental health needs. So they can go during business hours, they can walk there and then get a support and come up with a safety plan, and sometimes get connected with a higher level of care. And then we have our more the traditional service, right? So we offer individual therapy. We have psychiatry service there. We have some group therapy that we offer. We do psych testing too. So there's a really nice package that students can receive help with.
Okay. What steps should a student take to access mental health resources at Boynton? And are there any specific consideration for minority groups?
Mm-hmm. So, I think now if you're talking more about the traditional service, what the path to get to that is first of all, the first stop is doing what we call the brief consultation. So the students can go online or call us and set up this appointment. It's usually a half an hour appointment. It's to really kind of have a brief overview of what's going on with them, and then that counselor will help them connecting with the right service for what they need. So and then after that, then an appointment gets set up to initiate that type of service.
Yeah, when I was attending at the U, my second year, I tried to make appointment to see a therapy. The wait was kind of long. What's the difference now? What are you guys doing differently to make it shorter?
Yeah, we have been doing a lot of things, I think, to simplify access. There's a high demand, right? So, and the demand changes over time, right? So there's times of the year that we have more people trying to get in, times of the year that is there's less demand. So one of the things that we're doing is we're trying to get making access easier through like being able to book online. So this is something we started last year. So now students are really grateful for that. Being just able to go and do that booking. There's like now we're offering some group therapy now that now people can start right away with like learning some skills and strategies to manage their symptoms. So there's like a good package that now it can help them getting started now.
Yeah, sounds like it has changed quite a bit, which is good. What strategy can minority students use to overcome hesitation in seeking mental health support?
Yeah, I think like no, there is this piece like not everybody is comfortable with like a medical setting, right? So we have been doing like our student counseling service has like one team that is called the embedded counselors, and they are located in certain colleges. So they're like people that you can see them right on site. That is one thing I think that takes off of that stress of seeking mental health service. Other things that we do, like I have been really active with trying to get the word out there and normalize now what mental health service are. So we do a lot of outreach service where we go and we now help with teaching some classes on mental health support. We do a lot of work on now just kind of educating the community about what it is and showing our faces. We have been working on hiring people from a diverse background too, because we know like if you're seeing someone that looks like you, it's a lot less threatening, right?
Yep.
And I think we're really fortunate, right? So like I'm from Brazil. In our team, like we have people from all over the world. It's amazing, So,
yes, when you see someone who looks like you tend to be more comfortable with them, and that is a great work that you guys are doing to taking that initiative. How can a student effectively manage stress and academic responsibility without compromising their well-being?
I think now it's a very common issue that I see with students is like trying to overcome perfectionism, right? Students usually are going to college because they want to do well, right? And they might be struggling because they're putting all their attention on their academics, and then they're forgetting about themselves and their basic needs.
True.
So I feel like a big now important step is kind of making sure that you're prioritizing your well-being and getting enough sleep, getting enough healthy food, going for walks, having social moments, times to decompress. That kind of helps people kind of coping well with the college life and the intensity of the volume of things that people have to do when they're attending college.
As a therapist, you may know by looking at it the sign of a trauma, depression, and any other mental concern. However, that might not be true for students. How can a student identify the signs and reach out for professional help?
I think like if a student starts noticing that they are not acting like themselves, like that they're feeling like they're starting to kind of drag themselves to places or not feeling any motivation to do things, and noticing that they're getting really agitated, those are good indicators that there's something that is not feeling quite right. I think it gets now more concerning if people start having more like serious like thoughts about like not being around and like really lacking that motivation to stay to do the things that they usually love and enjoy, isolating more than their typical, like suddenly not wanting to see people, not wanting to go places. Those are like really good now signs to watch for that there's something off there. When we are more stressed out in general, some of those things our body will tell us in different ways too. So usually will affect our appetite, would affect our sleep, our ability to concentrate and pay attention to what the things that people are telling us. So like if you are trying to pay attention to a conversation and then you were your mind is so busy that you can hardly hear what the other person is saying, that's a sign that maybe things are not as well with you.
Which means you should reach out to a professional.
Yeah, that would be a good way to kind of start watching and maybe taking the first step. And the first step, it could be like, no, you're doing a screening, right? So to figure it out, depending on where people are, they might just benefit from something that is not necessarily like a medical intervention, but it could be like, going to an affinity group where they can connect with other people and feel that they're belonging to a community. And that could be a great intervention that the people can do. Or it could be joining an activity that is more enjoyable and fun. So there are a lot of ways to address mental health. And then if you address that soon, you probably don't need a whole lot, right? Sure. But if you let that linger, and that the tendency is that it will get worse, and then we'll be looking to more interventions. A good person to reach out to if you're kind of not super sure about where you're at, is going to primary care. So like Boynton has primary care clinicians there, and now people typically go to a wellness check, right?
Yes.
And then mentioning that to your doctor could help the person navigate that, to understand like, oh, is this something that we should be concerned and try to address right away, or is this something that we're just going to watch for and see how it goes? So that will be a great step and really easy to access.
So yeah, you mentioned going to like a primary care and letting them know of what's happening. But are primary health, can they give you a medication? Do they have the right to do that? Are they professional in that area? How would they know?
Yes, so the majority of primary care clinicians, they will be fairly comfortable with some more common mental health issues. So like anxiety, depression, that type of realm, that is something that they are typically really skillful for. If it's something that they feel like is beyond their expertise, then they can make that referral. And make the recommendations then. Or sometimes they just consult with one of our psychiatrists to see what the right approach would be.
Okay. What steps can a student take to ensure that they receive unbiased diagnosis and treatment plan, avoiding unnecessary medications?
I think in students, it's always helpful for students to be proactive on explaining about their background, right? Like, and what is their values to the people that are working to help them, right? I would say in a best case scenario, professionals will be skillful enough to know that, right?
Yes.
But it's not always true. There's there's so many people in the world. So since I'm from Brazil, so what I typically do is that I try to educate my own doctor about like, what are my preferences? What do I like? How do I prefer to treat my illness, right? Like, and I am the type of person that I would prefer more like lifestyle changes first. So that's what I tell my doctor. I say, like, I'm dealing with this. What can I do first before is medication the best approach, or is there any other more lifestyle changes or other alternatives for my care? So being proactive on asking those questions help.
How can a student initiate conversation with the professor about accommodation and support during difficult mental health?
So, and that's a big part of like that mental health advocate program that I was mentioning in the beginning. So now a lot of the professors are aware of the mental health service in the clinic. So they are able to, if the student is having a hard time, they can go to a good amount of professors, and they will be able to kind of help them connecting and give them the tips on how to get linked with mental health service. So it's taking that courage, and
I know at the U there is a disability center where you can go there.
Yes.
Is the mental health like issue, like depression, trauma, are these considered like disabilities?
Yes. we work really close with the DRC, the Disability Resource Center, to try to support students to get some adaptations and additional help as they need to. So a good way to go is even like starting if they're really looking for accommodations, is going straight to the DRC. And then they will say, hey, this is kind of what we'll need next. And then they kind of can help them navigating that and kind of figure it out what some options that they have.
Okay, so there are some misunderstanding. Would this be like if they go to the disability center and the professor accommodates to their need, would this be on the student record in the future, like if someone is trying to look at their background?
I'm going to share some of my personal experience on this. Okay? So I did my master's degree at the University of Minnesota in Duluth, and it was when I first moved to the United States. So my English, I couldn't understand really well, but my writing was really poor, right? I needed help. It was my first time ever struggling academically, right? So it was like a really strange thing for me to ask for help. And I ended up getting accommodations to the DRC, and the accommodations were for extended amount of time for testing and some support, additional time to do some of my assignments. To be honest, I never actually even used it. I didn't need to use it. But just knowing that I had that gave me peace of mind. And then I could just go and without feeling like I needed to rush. And then I could take my time to remember the words. And so, and it was not in my records. There was like, this is private information. It does not follow you.
Okay, as someone that's born in Brazil, what advice would you give to the youth and minority students who might be hesitant to seek support for like their mental health issues?
Yeah, I feel like it's asking for help can be really hard, especially if you have done well to the point that you made it to the university, right? But it's also a sign of strength, right? Like as you get older, the hardest challenges that you're going to have the smarter you are, the hardest challenge you're going to face. So, and being able to find the people that can help you to lift you along as you're trying to now get where you want to get is just going to speed up the process, right? So, asking for help is a sign of strength, and it should be seen as that, right? So, going and being able to have a space for yourself and take the space for yourself is something that will boost your self-esteem, will help you to be more successful in your career. So highly recommend. And I see people coming in really scared of talking and suddenly finding themselves and finding their voice, and that is really, really important.
Thank you, Cecilia, for sharing your expertise and compassion with us today. We hope this conversation has inspired you, the young viewers, to prioritize your mental health and seek support when needed. And remember, seeking help is a sign of strength. Also, reach out to Boynton Health Service or other trusted resources for confidential support. Together, let's foster a culture of understanding, empathy, and inclusivity. Tune in next time for more thought-provoking discussion on Oromia 11 Youth Discussion. Have a blessed time.